And we should be live now.
I think I have to put it.
Hello, everybody. Good night, good morning, whatever you guys are. So, tonight we have, oh, sorry, just my audio is going. Yeah, sorry, fine. So tonight we're gonna have the lovely Margot from Moth. We're gonna talk about a few things, different things from last time, and just join the conversation. But before we just jump on that, we're gonna play a nice little clip. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who is Moth. You know, you guys been running for how long?
11 years.
Oh wow. My gosh.
Yes, well, no, 11 years as a collective, but like as a studio, 6, I would say.
6 years. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows the lovely work. So I'm gonna play like a 2 section of the video. They have the whole video on the website, so you guys can see after. So we just can get into the talk and just get into your head. Give me just 1 second. Let me just see. Gosh, I don't even remember how to. We've been so.
There's a big play button. Press it.
Yeah, I know. I just I need to remember. I need to put the sound. Can you guys see that now?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna play the 2 section, and we get back in 2 seconds.
Sure.
When I was 12, my mother had an unexpected baby. I wanted to learn how to do everything, feed her, change her, entertain her. She was kind of squirmy and she never liked to get her nails clipped, and so I went to clip this one nail and almost cut the tip of her thumb off. I swooped her up and ran downstairs and called my mother. She just really calmly told me to wrap something around her thumb, distract her, and just make sure that she was comfortable. You know, you don't learn everything first and then apply it. It all just happens and you figure it out. When I was 18, they told me that I had PCOS. They've always said when you get older, it's going to be hard for you to have children. I was 25, working for a financial company. I was also hostessing at a bar at night. I thought I was just like gaining weight, and I was just like so tired. I had been on the pill. I was like, maybe I should just take a pregnancy test. I was terrified. I was finishing a PhD, and that seemed like a reasonable time to start thinking about having a baby. I really didn't think there was anything wrong. We finally went to see a reproductive endocrinologist. At 30, I had no eggs. It made me feel cheated. Trying to do things according to some kind of plan was obviously not working.
Cool. Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, really nice. Thank you.
I love the animation style on that, and it works really well.
Yeah, and one thing, like talking about this film, and one thing I really love, you guys always concentrate on the visual and the storytelling of the piece more than how that is gonna be animated, I think. No, so it's always a really strong visual in every film you guys do. No, is any reason for that? You know?
Well, I think this specific film, I mean, it's very close to me. You know, maybe like one of the other guys wouldn't have chosen it, but like I really wanted to take this project and make it because it was like I was personally interested in it because of the subject. And it was actually at a time when we had to kind of split between projects. So the guys had to go to New York for a job, and I was in the studio with Jen. And like Jen and I mostly worked on this, and it was really nice because it was quite like you know, a female subject as well.
Yeah.
Like we bonded a lot making this film, and you know, we could design it the way we wanted. We got a lot of freedom on that. But I mean, the reason, you know, when we have to economize on animation, it's usually because of budgets. So this project was very much, you know, a passion project. We took it because, as I said, we were invested on the subject, and we wanted to work with the New York Times again after the first film we had done with them for Modern Love. And yeah, I think, to answer your question, I think we're all quite design driven because we all studied like illustration and animation. So design is something that is very like quite on the core of our work. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know how people feel, but I feel like also in like animation universities in England, a lot of them, they don't really teach you how to animate. It's more about like the design and the direction. And then you kind of have to figure animation by yourself. So it was, yeah, I think we were quite design driven, like since we met, and maybe we kind of tried to keep that.
It does come across as very, like it does feel very heartfelt, you know, it does feel more than, oh, this is not just a project to, you know, to do. It does feel more involved and more passionate in a way. Yeah,
it was definitely that. Both films we did for the New York Times, it was yeah, just because we really wanted to do them, not because, you know, it wasn't it wasn't a money project. It's more like an emotional project. Yeah.
Actually, just thinking earlier, like just before we played the clip, you mentioned that, so you guys have started like 11 years ago and then 6 years at a studio. So how is it different between, you know, as a collective and as a studio? Like what are the differences between the two?
Sure. So when we were a collective, we were renting a studio out, just like a small studio. So the first one we got, okay, so basically the timeline of how things happen is that Dan, Dave, and I met at the Royal College of Art, and that was 2008. And we graduated 2010. And before graduating, we thought, you know, actually, what? Shall we form a collective, because we like working together, and going out there is going to be a bit scary. You know, we're going to get into freelancing or full-time jobs, because Dave started working as a director for Studio K, which was amazing. And then we thought, okay, let's have a collective together and get a space where we can come in together in the evenings or in weekends and work on projects that we're passionate about and that we can have fun with. And that's how we started. Our first studio was in Hagerstown. It was like under the arches. It was not very comfortable. It was really like cold and damp. And then our second studio was with Animate. So Animate had a studio in Old Street, and then they had like a little room next to theirs. So that's where we started. It just fit like 4 or 5 people. So yeah, Moth was very much evenings and weekends. And then what we would do, Dan and I were freelancing in companies, and then sometimes we would say, okay, let's take this project. So for 3 months, we're going to do this. So it was very much like freelancing for 2 months, Moth for a month, and then freelancing for 4 months, and then Moth in the evenings. It was very much, back then, actually, I just remember working all the time, like all the time. We never had a weekend. And then Dave would join us as much as he could as well, like in evenings and weekends. And I remember I think at some point he took some weeks off, or like some months of AK to help some stuff. But then I think we got to a point in 2014, we were actually getting quite a lot of work. And Dan and myself said, okay, let's stop freelancing and do this full time. And then Dave can join us soon. So he joined us a year later. And I think what really mattered is that kind of vow we took. We're like, okay, we're going to get a studio and we're going to go there every day, and we're going to open a bank account, and anything we do, you know, if it's freelancing, if it's teaching, like anything we do as individuals as well, like if things are difficult, if we're tired of eating lentils and we want to eat a steak again, we can go and work, but then the money we earn is going to go into that pot.
All right. So even if you're freelance, the money would go into the pot.
Yes,
That's
and we would
interesting.
share it. And I think that was intrinsic to, you know, forming a studio, of kind of taking that step and saying, okay, this is not about me, this is about us.
There's
And
a lot of
everything
trust
we
there
do-
too.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah.
obviously you guys are all friends, so there's relatively little risk. But if you're starting with like someone you don't know too well, it's like, yeah, you put all your money in there, and I'm gonna sit over here for a while.
Well, I think that's some of the problem with some other collectives that maybe were formed, and then like I had friends that said, how did you guys make it work? Because we tried to make it work, but then we couldn't, because projects would come in and people would want to do them individually. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can't think as a me, you have to think as us.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I'm really grateful that we had that I met those guys and we could do that.
So what was was that the tipping point that made it into go from collective to studio? Because I remember when Dave joined, and it was still a collective then, I think it was.
Yeah, that was the point, I think, 2015, when also Dave joined. We enrolled because before we had enrolled ourselves as a partnership, and then we enrolled ourselves as a business, and then we're like, okay, we're a studio.
Legit.
Yes, now we're a studio. Yeah, and I think that sense of, you know, coming in every day and this is our reality now, and it's not.
I always felt like when I see a company, not necessarily yours or whatever, but when it says collective, it doesn't feel as committed as like a limited or a studio. It feels like, you know, if you commission them for a project, then there's potential that it might fall apart in the middle. And that you know, that might not necessarily be true. I'm just saying that's my when I think of collective, that's kind of what I think about.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think also the word collective, it was actually not correct for us, because what I perceive as a collective also is a group of artists doing things individually. So, and maybe they present them together. So maybe a collective could be a group of artists where, you know, someone is a sculptor and another one's an animator and another one is a designer, but then they make an exhibition and they present their work together. Maybe some projects overlap. But for us, you know, we thought, actually, we're not a collective. That's you know, that's the wrong term. We're lying. So we changed.
So you based everything on a lie. Okay, got it.
Yes, it all started as a lie.
So where did the name Moth come from? I assume it was, you know, working by the candlelight kind of thing, but I don't know.
That's a very good question, James. I'm afraid I don't have a good answer. It was a light bulb 4 a.m. moment. But it was quite funny because we were all working on our graduation films. So we were awake very late. And I remember texting the guys. I was in my room in Battersea, and I remember texting the guys because we were trying to figure out the name. And then I was like, I've got it. It's Moth. And they both replied and they said, yes. And I thought, oh, it's so funny that it's 4 a.m. and we're all awake. We're like rendering.
But I think that the name of the studio is one of the most difficult things to decide as well. No?
Alternatives. What were some of the other names?
What other names for what? That we were looking.
Instead of Moth, like what was in the front running?
The guys wanted to call it Laser Fist, and I vetoed that, and I'm like, not call it Laser Fist.
That's why it's good to have a girl in the middle, no?
Yeah.
And then Hench. Dan wanted Hench as well, and I was like, I'm out of here. You call it Hench? I'm gonna join another collective.
It's definitely the best one out of those.
yeah. I think you did pretty well, Mark.
Thank you. I mean, it's pretty stupid, but it did. I don't know. We kind of wanted something like short and I don't know, weird, but a bit sensitive. I don't know. I kind of hit the.
I think it works.
Yes, it works. Maybe.
And talking about the style, you know, like style you guys have, because you guys always, I think since the beginning, as you said, you guys always came from the illustration background, you know, and I follow you guys pretty much since you guys start and looking to develop. And I I saw you guys coming more now with a 3D as well, 3D exploration, kind of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about, why you guys suddenly start moving to a different direction? Is a reason in regards to trying to achieve new styles, or just to experiment with new techniques that you guys didn't use before?
Yeah, of course. It was, I think it was very much like a natural development of skills. So I still don't use 3D. I like looking at it, but I'm just not interested in it at all. I love drawing, and that's all I want to do. But yeah, like Dave just started using it for his work. I think he started using it when he was at Studio AK, because he had to direct 3D, and very rightly so, which I should be doing as well. If you're going to direct 3D, he's like, I want to understand it. I want to know. So he started using 3D then, and then really enjoyed it. So he started, taking his work into 3D, which I think is very interesting for his style. And then what happened? And then Dan can use it as well. And then Jen, that we hired in 2000, when was it? 17. She was using it as well. So like it was nice that more people were using it and they could experiment a bit. And then obviously we needed it for projects, so we wanted to use it not so much as a primary technique, but to support the 2D. We started working with Luke a lot, and then we loved working with Luke. And then we're like, actually, do you want to stay with us? And he said yes. So then obviously with Luke in the studio, he has a very established style.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's push that as well, because we don't want him to just be helping us. We want him to be, pushing his style and then having fun with his style. So it was quite a kind of like a natural.
It's interesting seeing a 3D work coming at it from an illustration design perspective as opposed to just pure 3D. I think it adds like, when you look at like Dave's like personal, his personal experiments with 3D and applying his illustration style into 3D, and all your 3D work really, it just makes something really quite interesting and quite unique.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I love stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, like early stage tests you guys did, like in project, when you guys really bring that 2D look into the 3D, using with projection map, that was really quite nice. You can still feel really strong Moth because I think I don't know, it's changing, but when we're still thinking about Moth, we still think really illustrative, 2D work. But it's nice you guys did that kind of shift, but it's still having that feeling there. So you didn't lose that, and I think that's quite important for a studio as well. No?
Yeah, and I wish, in a way, we could use it more. I wish we could use these experiments a bit more commercially sometimes, but I don't know, it seems to, I think we were talking about it today, like they sent us a reference for a job and it was like, everyone does that,
Yeah.
Why can we use not something different? Like every studio can do that. Like,
yeah, clients just ask what they see.
Yeah.
They want to be safe.
Yeah.
Kind of
they're just not really creative, no?
Yeah. Well, it's like they want to be safe, but then why would you, you're looking at these like studios, I assume they look at the portfolio of the studio before they commission us or, ask a studio to pitch or whatever. So, you're meant to be going on the merits of their own work, and everyone's got like quite a distinct style. So why send, the generic references kind of thing?
Yeah, and then they must have pitches from 3 companies that basically look the same, because everyone is trying to make that.
But it's always back to that, and I don't know, probably doesn't happen much with you, but we get quite a lot. Clients ask, look at this reference from, but can you guys do it? They just think we're gonna do a lot cheaper, And so can you guys do that? I said, just call back and ask them if they can do it.
We did. There was too many zeros.
But they're too expensive. I said, well, yeah, why should I do for cheaper? So we always get that, and it's just really pissed. Our clients is always cheeky,
Yeah. But it actually makes me sad when we get that, but the reference are individuals or smaller studios. I'm like, why don't you go to them?
Just
Like,
go there.
why don't you go to the person who can do that in an excellent way? Why do you want me to try and copy that? It's sad.
It is sad, yeah. It is sad. I think they see us more a tool, no, than creatives sometimes.
I think so.
It's cute.
We're just operators.
Can you just copy that? Yeah, we can, but why you don't ask them to copy, you know? And but it is sad, but it's happened quite a lot. It's funny. You know, when we get emails with another studio name, hello, animation.
Yes. Yes.
Can you guys do the job you did before? We said it's not us, you know. You said email wrong.
I haven't even changed it. We had that
Yeah,
yesterday.
they don't. Yeah, we get quite a lot. It's really funny.
Or the subject says like brief for Buck, and then it's like, hi Moth, and it's like, you didn't change the subject.
They get to list the name. Yeah, it's funny.
Man, if I ran like an agency, I kind of feel like I would do that intentionally just because it's funny.
It's true. It's true. So let me bring a subject here. Guy Porto is asking that, and it's a subject we were just talking before we go live. Is about, you know, finding new people. You know, so Guy is asked pretty much. I would like to ask you how, you know, you find the collaborators, you know, like people to work with you guys, and if it's how difficult it's to find good people to work with. And they said that he knows, like at Cookie we're looking for people, and we were talking just before we go live.
Yeah.
So I commented, said we've been looking for 3 months to work with people, you know, and lost the microphone. So so how do you guys find, and do you think it's been hard to find people lately, you know? And
I think during the pandemic, I mean, we're talking about everything, right? We're not talking
everything. I think everything.
Yeah. During the pandemic, it was quite tricky. I think because animation had a lot of work, a lot of demand in our industry.
Yeah.
And people seem to be booked a lot. So we did have situations where we're like, oh God, you know, all the people we've reached out to or we usually work with are booked. But that was actually great because it made us reach out to, you know, everywhere. And also because of the pandemic, we worked with people all over the world. And that was probably my favorite part of the pandemic, that, you know, we had a project at some point, and I remember we had to jump. The first thing we had to do in the morning is talk to Jess, who was in Australia because she was going to bed. And then after Australia, you know, we would talk to Spain, and then at, I don't know, lunchtime, Brazil would wake up. So we talked to the Brazilian freelancers. So like, you know, we got to talk to so many people around the world, and it was amazing. And I
imagine you saying like good morning about 10 times a day.
Yeah, it's like, good morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think it was difficult to find people. We always managed in the end. And
After
then
a lot of stress. No?
Yes, it was. There was times where it was incredibly stressful. Like we had one a page, and the job had to start, say, next week, and it was a Friday, and we had just not found people, and it was really, really bad.
There's always Fiverr.
We always manage, yes.
It's always Fiverr, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, also left. So some people left London, and they were like, "Well, we're going, you know, we're back in our countries now," and or we went full time with a company in our country, or we're taking a break, or but there's been a lot of change. But to answer Guy's question, the way we find people is a lot through like Instagram, just like people we follow and we like. Also recommendation, you know, if we really need, I might just, you know, text my friend Carmen from Night Shift Studio and say, hey, I need an After Effects person, you know, any recommendations? Yeah. So yeah, it's helped a lot.
I think recommendation is still one of the big things between studios, no?
It takes a lot of the risk out of it, I think.
Yeah. I think risk is the main problem, you know. I think one of the good things of the pandemic was to be working with people around the globe, you know, open a lot more. I think everyone ended up getting more, but it's the same. I think the risk is always a problem. Like we opened the studio in São Paulo 2 years ago, and it's just like a new industry for us trying people, and that without the recommendation, sometimes you end up kind of hiring people and the person doesn't really do the work you expect to do. So it is quite tricky for a studio, no?
Yes, and I guess the best thing to do is to, well, either recommendation. Well, to be honest with you, we've also worked with people from recommendations, and they ended up
Being shit.
not being. No one is shit.
They're dead now.
They ended up not being the right fit, and I think it's just because actually it's also the work, it's the way people work, you know. Maybe someone did very well. I recommended someone recently that, you know, I had a great experience with, and then the other studio was like, oh, you know, it wasn't as great for us, and it's because actually they put the person on a completely different technique. And I said, well, I never recommended them for that technique, I recommended them for that technique. So I think it can be, you know, there's loads of reasons, to be honest. I mean, I can say as a freelancer, you know, I performed in some studios better than others, and when I was a freelancer, and that was also, you know, down to who I was working with and if I enjoyed the project or the team. I think there can be a lot of.
Yeah, it's true.
So one thing I've always wondered.
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I've always wondered about, like when you're freelancing or as a studio, is what your reputation is in the industry. Because if you ask someone about your own reputation, you're never going to find out. You know, that's one thing I always wonder about, because there's no way of really knowing.
That's very true. Yes, maybe we should knock on the doors of all the people we.
Yeah.
Wear a mustache or something. Or hello.
Margot, do you think it's more difficult to find full-time people nowadays than a freelance? Everyone want to work as a freelance so they make more money, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest, because we haven't hired a full-time person in a while now. So I don't know when we're going to start again. If we start again, I'll let you know. But I do think that the pandemic definitely made people, you know, think a bit more about quality of life, and they spend more time at home doing things maybe they liked, having more flexible schedules, and maybe they thought, actually, I want to have more of a work-life balance. But then again, you can't get that with full-time work.
Yeah, if it's
we get that, so I don't know.
I don't know. I think they're just not married with a kid, you know. So you don't want to spend a lot of time at home.
I mean, a good company is quite flexible and has, you know, it has your best interests at heart, because that works out for the company's best interest. So, you know, part of that is work-life balance, like going home at 6, avoiding working late where possible, you know.
But I think that works quite well here, James. Like maybe some.
You're just saying that to get people to work for you.
Just to hire them, you know. After that, you make them late. But I don't know, because like in Brazil, it's completely different mentality, you know, like coming from there, having the studio there now, it is a completely different mentality where people used to work late and things like that.
Yeah,
I think we have more work balance in UK, and the studios, talking to other studios, we always see that people want to enjoy more a little bit of the life and family and things.
What's the situation in Japan, the work-life ethic, where you know, you can't leave before the boss and all that kind of side of things? It's mental.
Yeah, and the boss lives inside the office, no?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you can't, you know, if you work within certain hours, you'll work more efficiently than necessarily working longer hours anyway. And you can't really force it's specific to our industry, you can't really force creative in a way. You know, if you want to try and solve a solution, it will come to you when it comes to you. You can't force it out.
Exactly, and probably when you're rested. And I remember Joe Bishop
on the loo.
Yeah, you know,
95% of the time.
I remember Joe Bishop telling me that he went to work in China for a bit at some point, for like 4 or 6 months on a project, because he wanted to, you know, try something new, and he thought, oh, China, exciting. And then he came back and he was shocked, and he said, Margot, people like are sleeping on their desks all the time, because basically what happens is that no one leaves, because they you know, they wanted to show that they're
Committed.
they're working hard, but they were tired, they were exhausted. So people have like, you just turn around and just people were sleeping on their desks all the time. Well, at least on this specific production. I don't want to say that it's like that in every studio in China, but on that specific production, that's what he encountered, and he felt quite sad about it.
Yeah, you just it just sets yourself up for burning out really quickly.
Yeah,
I would imagine. It's not a life.
Were you doing that when you were younger though? Did you find yourself working late just because you felt like you didn't want to leave the studio?
I really enjoy work late when I was young.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
I've been quite lucky, and I've always worked for quite good companies in terms of looking after the staff's health. So there were occasions where we'd work late, or might do a weekend every here and there, but generally not really. It wasn't really. I think everyone valued personal time, which I think is quite. I mean, there's been a couple of companies that I freelance for that haven't, and that's been annoying. There's one company that do some nice work and what have you, but I was like art directing this project, and it was quite 3D heavy. So, and I was doing the illustration and art direction. So people were doing all the 3D work, but I couldn't do anything until it was finished. So I went home at 6 o'clock, and then I got an email saying, "Hey, I think you're leaving a bit early. Why?" or whatever. It's something along those lines. So I explained, and then next couple of weeks I stayed like an extra hour and a half or whatever for literally no reason. There's no reason for me to be there. If I wasn't hitting the deadlines, or if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, absolutely call it out, but that wasn't the case. Exactly.
I remember like when I was freelancing, feeling like I couldn't leave even if the job was done. I would wait around. And then maybe some studios made me feel like I had to stay late, and I will always be grateful and like to Studio AKA, because they have an amazing work ethic, and they would come up to me and be like, "Margot, you have to go home now." And I was like, "But I just want to finish this." They're like, "We're closing the studio, go home." They would literally kick me out. And I love that. And that's one of the things, I think that's one of the things, I took a lot from them in a way, in terms of ideas and how they work. And I thought, if I ever make a studio, I want to be as kind as them.
It's a good ethic to install from the start with, as a foundation, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you feel like, as you work as a freelancer before, and we're talking about like some places you enjoy, some places not, do you think you take that a lot in consideration nowadays, running Moth, what to do as a studio owner? Do you think that foundation you have before help you a lot to be a studio owner and to try to make things a little bit better, like think forward?
Absolutely. I think it was like amazing to freelance. Actually, it was so important to freelance and to first of all to be in different roles. So to do coloring and to do cleanup and to animate and then direct, freelance for companies, because I know what it feels like to do everything, and I have an understanding of it. And when I direct people, then I can be more useful and more appropriate in terms of my feedback. And I really, really enjoyed not wearing headphones. So loads of people work with headphones, and I thought I never wore them because I really liked to hear actually how people direct. I really like to hear the producers, like how they speak to the clients, how they speak on the phone, how they speak to the freelancers. And there was definitely a lot of like, I would never do this. And and then there was a lot of like, this is great. If I ever direct someone, I'm going to speak to them like this, or try to speak to them like this. So I kind of picked and chose the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like. And then hopefully, I don't know, for the people out there that have freelanced with us, try to implement in the studio, not just me, but everyone.
Yeah, that's good.
And the working late thing is we definitely have had to work late, and people have had to work late with us, but I feel so awful about it every time. Like I apologize a lot. And like But yeah, I worked in studios where they didn't feel like they had to apologize at all.
Yeah, I think it's the older mentality where people really believe you that work, you know, because like some places
Bit of
it's
S&M,
still
isn't
that
it?
mentality, you know. Yeah. And Deborah has a really good comment on the chat. She said, you know, like, because a lot of people think running a studio is a lot glamorous and money, you know, and she really would like to hear, you know, about real struggles. I think
You struggle with your vajazzle.
I think what and just to simplify her question, you know, what you think is as taking as a studio owner, you know, like as you guys running Moth, coming from a collective where you turn into be a studio, I can see a lot of similarity, you know, because we start the studio like you guys, not like coming with a lot of money, let's open a studio, we have a lot of clients and it's fine, you know, so you guys start is low in pace. So how do you feel, you know, like what was the biggest struggle you guys have in the beginning? You know, it's like finding clients, you know, like be able to pay, you know, people to work with you guys, you know,
Deborah's
just
B,
like,
by the way.
yeah, just like to talking a little bit. Deborah is B. I saw the surname, but I didn't realize. I thought maybe it was her sister.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Sorry, B.
I mean, in the beginning, it definitely was financially difficult because we had been freelancing for 4 years. Dave, as I said, had a full-time job. So, you know, we were earning a certain amount. And then when we decided to stop and just do Moth full-time, we just went, and yeah. And
back on the lentils.
Yeah, lentils. Yeah, a lot of lentils and chickpeas. And working much later. I remember, as I said, I didn't really have a life, and my flatmates at the time, I mean, I had a great time. I loved working late with the guys and, you know, having beer and, you know, exporting the project at 4 a.m. and I felt so proud and powerful and happy, and then flying to New York to get an award, you know, like it was exhausting, but we were so happy. Like there was so much energy and joy out of what we were creating, but I was not realizing how tired I was.
Yeah.
And I remember my flatmate saying, "Margot, you work every weekend," and I was like, "Yeah, but I'm happy." And then what happened actually to shake me up was my health. So my health started deteriorating slowly, and like I started having like weird things, and I got a blood clot because I was not moving a lot.
Like T-vein thrombosis kind of thing.
Yeah, I had a DVT on my leg, and it was when I was doing the Modern Love project, the New York Times one. And I remember I just didn't really stand up for weeks. And then I thought, okay, actually people are right. Like I need to take care of myself. Like I might feel powerful, but I'm not, you know,
I'm not superhero. I'm dying here.
And after that, I started, I think, being a bit more mindful. I started dancing a lot as well, which kind of made me like move more. But yeah, the struggle was, well, a bit financially in the beginning. Maybe we were not business people, we were artists, so we didn't know anything, you know, we went a lot on instinct, gut feeling, and what felt right. And it was very lucky that there was 3 of us because we could make decisions. So, you know, if it's 2, it's difficult. If it's 4 or 6,
yeah.
if it's 3, it's
an odd number.
Yeah,
it's good as well, because if you have 2 different opinions, you have always one to pick the side.
Exactly. So we kind of, you know, did and learned in a way, and we learned, and we're still learning, you know, of course, but we learned during these years, what to say no to. So there's projects that come in now that maybe 5 years ago we would have done, and now we're like, oh, let's not do it. It's like, we know it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
We never really, I don't know, I never remember us really struggling, because we, as I said, even when things were tough financially, like I don't know, we took so much joy out of what we did, and we're very positive, filled people, and we have a lot of faith. Even when it's quiet, we're like, nah, something will come in. And that's why we say no to a lot of things. Like we mainly say no. That's our motto. Just say no.
Say no.
Yes, and we say no to so many things because we just have the faith that something will show up that will be better.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But I think it even was it's my friend Marcel's view from State. He did one with us as well. He just did a talk about the power of no. You know, I think this is. I think when we, especially like, it's not just a studio, but like freelance. You know, in the beginning we always care. You know, like things not gonna happen or we're not gonna have work. You know, and people end up saying yes to everything, but you end up getting that type of project is not fit to you as well. So you end up getting struggle. You end up closing doors. You know. And like he comments there, and so his talk as well. But this is the powerful. Is I think if we have a superpower, you know, as a studio, as a freelance, is the word no. You know, to be able to choose what is right for us to do, and that's I think what people does better. No, when you pick your right project, is then when you just stand out. You know, with the project.
I think the other part of that superpower is knowing what is right for your studio as well. That's always quite a hard one.
Exactly. Actually, I thought of another answer to V's question, which could be useful.
No.
It's no. I'm just not going to answer that. No. In terms of a struggle, actually. So yeah, people think of studio owners as like, okay, you own a studio, you do animation. Actually, you don't do animation, you do HR and you're a psychologist.
Yeah.
You know, like it's or a mother. You know, my role I think has changed so much, and the guy's role as well. But that, you know, in the beginning, you know, I hardly animate anymore. When I get to animate, I'm so happy. But you know, it's a lot about talking to people and creating the team and making sure everyone is happy and talking to people that you've hired or staff that is, you know, is having a hard time, and how do you accommodate that, and how do you find a balance between being friendly or being a friend and also being a boss. Like it's really hard, and it takes so much mental space, and people don't realize that, but it's, you know, and especially if you're quite sensitive to it, it can be huge. So you know, a lot of times I'm not a designer, an animator. I'm just managing people and problems. And
I think that's why it's hard, because, as you said, we come from a creative background, and we needed to learn the business side. And this is something like B said about the glamorous. You know, a lot of people think it's a glamour thing and a money. And I had a lot of friends that, you know, came with that. You run a studio, it's easy to say. I want to run a studio. And I always go back to the same question. I say, why you want to have a studio, you know? Because a lot of people has that mentality, I'm going to direct all my projects. I want to work what I want, you know, I'm going to make money. And I say, no, you're going to talk to clients the whole day. You're going to manage people the whole day. You're going to make sure everything is happy. You need to do the business shit behind that. You know, it's like you said, when I touch a project, I'm so happy to be able, but like every time I say, I'm going to do one scene, my producer say, no, you're going to fuck the project, because you end up getting busy and never manage to do, you know, so.
And also you never really switch off, you know, when you go on holiday, I care too much. I check Slack because I tell the guys what happened. I can't just switch off. I'm always kind of working in a way.
You need to go to like holiday locations where you can't get a signal and you're forced to switch off. Like go to like Inner Mongolia or something. Go live in a yurt.
Exactly, that's a good technique.
If you knew what you know now, and if you were to start again, like what's your biggest lesson that you would kind of like say to yourself?
Don't open a studio.
Don't do it.
If I was starting again,
if you wish, what's one piece of information you wish you knew from the start that you've learned along your journey?
Oh God, that's a difficult question. It's a difficult question because I don't regret anything.
Maybe regret's the wrong word.
Yeah.
What would you tell to yourself 10 years ago if you could give advice to yourself when opening the studio?
Like what piece of information?
Sure. Oh, this is hard.
We should do a count. We should have like a countdown timer just to make
It's
more.
like a chess playing here. Count. You have 10 seconds to think.
When I open
Nine.
Well, maybe we'll come back to
We
that.
can go back.
We'll have that running in the background.
Say no more. Say even more no's. Say even more no's, and don't feel like you have to sign just because everyone signs, because we signed with someone in the beginning just because we're too scared maybe to be alone, and it was terrible.
Is that a rep?
They were awful. Yeah. Sorry?
Is that you talking about reps?
Yeah, it was a rep that were awful, and then we're like, we don't need this,
Yeah.
spare us the problem, spare us the mess. And then, we signed with Hornet when the time was right, and it's been lovely.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of leads on to another question that Guy asked on YouTube, saying, how do you guys find clients? Is there a struggle on a daily basis to actually go after good clients? But I guess you guys are probably in the position where
Pretty stable now.
pretty stable, I would guess.
Yeah, we don't actually really reach out to people. I mean, you could say this is awful. Like we should probably have a new business strategy, but we don't.
But that's a good sign, I would say, no?
Hmm?
That's a good sign in the end, no?
Yeah. It is nice sometimes actually to reach out to people you want to work with. So actually, the New York Times jobs was us. It was us reaching out and saying we'd love to work with you, and they said, okay, great. Do you want to do next month's episodes? And that's how it worked. So we have reached out maybe to a couple of people, but mainly, work would come to us, or it was through our agents. So Hornet is the one who brought us the more commercial work, because what happened is that up until we were signed with them, which was what I think we signed 2016, and now I'm trying to remember 17. We had work, but it was all the lovely projects that helped us build this portfolio we had. But they were not the budgets were always quite limited. They were, I don't know, 25 grand, and I'm like, okay, we can't just keep doing 25 grand jobs. Like, we need something bigger.
I need that steak. I need that steak.
Yeah, and we need that steak. Yeah, and we need a break, and we need a holiday, and we want to be able to go honestly and have some fun. So we signed with Hornet, and they brought us Facebook, really, and that was really lovely, because then we started doing, we started building a relationship with Facebook and doing a few jobs for them maybe every year.
That's good. And
then Google, and bigger clients that then helped us be able to still do the nice, the smaller and the nicer jobs, because we need a balance.
Talking about the nice jobs, you guys being a well-known studio for quite a while now, you guys always on top of the game. What do you guys do anything to keep us on top of the game? Is anything like you guys reinvest in different styles when you guys, like we're talking about, like the problem with the small jobs, you just need a lot of small jobs to keep going. And when these small jobs stop, you don't have the money, you burn that money really quick. So when you have a big chunk that, like you said, give whatever, holiday, like you said, but it's what give you the security to be able to wait for another project that is right for you guys.
Yeah.
So, and then talking about that, how you guys keep, your work looking really fresh. Do you guys reinvest, part of the money, part of the time back to something new you guys wanted to do, a new technique? Like seeing you guys doing the 3D, I can see that is something coming, out. So how do you guys keep on top?
Yeah, I guess when we say no to the jobs that don't interest us very much, and we're like, let's just keep waiting. So when we have downtime, we will just, work on our personal work. So we will just be doing, I'll be doing my flat 2D dancers. The boys will be doing their 3D experiments, and then, and so we were developing actually a feature film for a while. So we were trying to get that.
Wow, that's exciting.
Nice.
It was really nice, but it was really hard because it kind of fell into the same time with Brexit, and then a lot of people were interested, but they were saying there's just no funding at the moment for maybe an English project, so maybe you should look into going to Ireland or France. And it was quite difficult to kind of make it happen. We still haven't forgotten about it. I still want to do it one day. But yeah, that also allowed us to I remember developing that, and developing the trailer for that was really lovely in terms of playing around with different styles, because it was a film that we wanted it to show different times, different years in the life of a person, so the styles would change a lot too. But yeah, basically it's doing personal work in our downtime, and keeping up with our skills, and hopefully then being able to on a job that comes in, be like, okay, I can now use this this extra skill I've got on creating moss or glass.
The best looking moss I've seen.
Yes.
That's why it's important to do, your studio projects or your personal projects, because it always evolves a style into something, that you can use elsewhere anyway.
Yeah, or we could do. I remember we were doing also. I mean, some people in the studio worked well collaboratively, so then they would pair up sometimes at downtime. So like Jen and Luke were doing some stuff together, and then Luke and Dave were doing some stuff together, and they would pair up and create something neat.
Like nice. A WWF tag team.
Yes.
Going back to what you said earlier when you used to freelance, we're obviously a very male-dominated industry. Like, how did you find freelancing around in such? I don't know. How did you find freelancing around in such like a male-dominated sector kind of thing? Did you ever find any issues, or was everything work out well?
I mean, I think we're lucky that our industry is actually full of really nice people, and people that do animation are usually,
pretty chill.
Yeah, they like to draw. They're, they're not in it for the money in a way. They're in it because of the joy they get out of.
The idea of being in animation for money is crazy. Yeah. Like it's not exactly super high pay, is it?
Exactly. So I think, things have also changed a lot since I was freelancing. So I stopped freelancing in 2014. I remember my last job was with ETC, the Electric Theatre Collective.
Oh yeah.
And I was working for the line. So the line was directing and I was freelancing for the line. Yeah. And I don't know, I never really had, apart from one director that I worked with in another studio that he didn't want to talk to me. I thought he didn't want to talk to me because I was a woman. So to give me feedback, he would give feedback to a man, and then the man would come and give me the feedback. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I complained to the producer about it, and she said, I know it comes out like this, but really he's just a shy person. And I'm like, he's not shy, he's just rude. Like he doesn't say hi to anyone, and he doesn't talk to women. Like I've observed, he doesn't talk to any woman. But apart from that
feedback, you can give feedback via somebody else. That's just bizarre. Like why don't you just go direct?
It was amazing. I mean, I was fascinated by
it. He's probably so happy nowadays with COVID. It's all through Slack nowadays. So
yes, he doesn't have to talk to it.
It's like the later years of Howard Hughes, where he just hid in the hotel room.
Yeah. I think maybe he created that virus.
Do you feel like your experiences in the industry freelancing has kind of like shaped how you look for people and what have you? Because like you said before we were on air. The studio previously was around about 50-50, male and female until some people left due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Does it shape the way you hire people? Try to, obviously balance is always good kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we definitely think I mean, look, we always think, okay, if we're going to hire a team, let's make sure we reach to both, to people in general, and then make sure that there's some diversity. But sometimes, as Thiago was saying before, there's such a shortage sometimes on freelancers, and you have to make a decision in 2 days. So whoever is available is available.
Yeah.
So of course, I'd like to think we're quite democratic in the way we hire and we look for people, but the harsh reality is sometimes that it's like whoever's available, and you don't have the luxury of time always.
That's true.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's hard when it comes to that project, you need to find people, I think the industry is a lot more open nowadays. It's a lot more balanced, it's still, we see a lot more male, especially when it goes 3D world, but I think
there's definitely a split in terms, like you're saying, like 3D and design is more male orientated, whereas production is more female orientated for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it is, but it's also, I think it's changing, and I can really see it in my students. So when I go teach now, most of the class is female. There's hardly any guys sometimes. I'm thinking, okay,
Where are you teaching, by the way?
I teach at UAL, in Central St. Martin's, at the master's course, but I'm a visiting tutor. So I'll go maybe once or twice a term, and I'll do tutorials with them. I talk to them about, I mainly do talks to them, with them about how to build, how to, make their portfolios or their show reels, how to look for work. But I like to get involved in the process of their graduation films a lot. I'd like to think I've helped them a bit keep it short, because they were big fans of long films, and I was like, guys, you need to keep it short.
Too much Laurence Olivier, like long walking scenes.
Yes, and it's like, that actually, there you go, a very good thing for someone who starts now. Keep it short, keep your show reels short, keep your film short. If you're trying to get work, no one's going to watch a really long film.
Yeah.
It's called a short film for a reason.
Yes. Keep it short and good.
And the talk about keep short, let's go to the last 2 questions. We're just hitting 1 hour. So
I'm having a great time. You can extend if you want. I was really nervous, but now I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it's all right. You always
Cristobal says hello, by the way.
Who?
Yeah.
Cristobal.
Oh, hi, Cristobal. One of the best people I've
So
met.
I'm gonna pick one quick question. Just a funny question we have here. I think probably was James that wrote that. If your studio was on Tinder, how would you describe itself?
If my studio was on Tinder,
The Moth was on Tinder as going out for dating. How would it be describing?
Oh my God, that's hilarious! That's such a good question. Okay. How do we describe ourselves? So, oh God, do I have to say if we're looking for something serious or if we're looking to have fun?
You can think as a stuff, like let's say Tinder is you want to hook up with some stuff, to bring stuff to Moth. How you do,
You can be a cat lady. It's fine. It's all good.
Oh God, we're in an open relationship. Like we like we have a we like a serious relationship, but we also like to have fun. We like serious projects, but we also like fun ones. God, I don't know. Sorry, it's a very difficult question.
Actually, I do have one quick question before we go. Is I guess it kind of relates to that in a way, but is there any companies that you would like to work with that you've not worked with yet? Like, who would you like to work with in an ideal world?
That's a very good question. More galleries, maybe. I like to work
More
with
galleries, always good.
Galleries.
I always wanted to work with like Jean-Pierre Jeanette or someone like that. Would be amazing.
Dance shows, I mean, I mean, that's not even, you know, I don't even think that, you know, the guys in the studio would be interested in that, but I don't know, I'm really into dance and I would love to do something with dance. Like I spend so much time in Sadler's Wells and I always think, oh, I could animate something in the background.
I feel like animation and dance, it sounds weird, but are probably quite closely linked because you're trying to make things flow and, you know, there's probably a lot of crossover.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've been dancing since I was 4, so I think it's kind of like in my head.
I dance a lot, but nobody wants to watch. Not particularly
I can
choreographed.
watch James.
Yeah.
I don't know what other people. I mean, the you know, orchestras, like the film we want to do has an orchestra involved, so it was more like a live event. So yeah, I think more like arts and culture, I would say.
I think live events can be quite fun because you get that kind of instant feedback as well. I mean, yeah, that could be awesome.
Yes. Yeah, things that are live would be fun.
All right, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's. Margot, thanks so much. It was really nice to talk and see you again. It's been so long.
Yes, it'd be nice. I mean, I saw you actually. I saw you walking down, not now, but like I saw you at some point walking down the canal with your wife and your child. And I said, Tiago, but he didn't hear me.
Oh my God.
No, it was a while ago. It was
how rude.
It was in winter. No, they were just.
All right. Yeah, sorry. I'll go and see you guys. Are you guys still in Matthew house?
Yeah, we're still in Nettle House.
All right. If you guys there next week, I pop over. My tattoo artist is there, so I'm going.
Oh yes, I know. I think I know which one. He's a Brazilian guy that does.
Yeah.
So nice.
I'm going there to finish the tattoo next week. So.
Okay, I'm not around next week, but I'm around the week after.
All right, I'll pop there to say hi.
Okay.
But
it's really nice to see you. Hope London is getting back to normal now. Now everyone is kind. So let's try hang out and.
That'd be really nice. I'd love to see you again and see you guys live, and you, James, when you come back to London.
James is
from the north. And just to
from
say,
the north side now.
Cool. Gravy, don't diss it.
So thank you so much. Thank you to share, a little bit with everyone. It was really nice.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for, from the guys as well that are not here today. And just to say to anyone else watching, if you have any other questions that I haven't had time to answer, anything you're curious about, you can email us and I will get back to you.
Yeah, that's nice.
No.
No.
There is no.
No.
Just say no. No, I'll very, very happily answer any other questions that we haven't had time to answer. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, thank you
so much. Just to let everyone know, so we're doing once a month now. So the next one is going to be the Tuesday end of the month. We're going to announce probably in a week so, and if everything goes well, we may be back in Shoreditch with the live shows, in the summer.
We haven't got a date yet.
But let's hope to the best. But we're planning that. But the live show on YouTube is still going, and we're gonna do once a month. So just keep interest to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Have